Do you believe that Cathy Engelbert should be replaced as the commissioner of the WNBA?
I do. I've known Cathy for a while. I like her. She's a woman in a man's world. She ran Deloitte. We're a few years apart in age. I totally respect that as someone who had a lot of that, being the only woman in the press box or whatever. University of Miami, as you know, and other places, maybe one or two of us, and that was the only woman in the locker room, etc. So I respect her background and her leadership and this great resume that she has. I don't get this. I don't get it at all.
There it is. A USA Today reporter just said on camera that the commissioner of the WNBA should be fired. Not hinted at it, not danced around it. Flat out said Cathy Engelbert needs to go. And the reason why might actually be worse than you think.
The paralysis, the inability to, well, I will not even editorialize, I will say the facts. The number of times that Cathy Engelbert has been asked by journalists, John Wertheim with 60 Minutes as an example, asked about Caitlin Clark, and then her answer is, well, Caitlin and Angel. And John Wertheim, to his great credit, wonderful friend and obviously great colleague, says, no, I didn't ask you about Angel. I only asked you about Caitlin. And then in her, the WNBA playoffs I covered in the finals in 2024, went on and on about all the things that had happened that year. Record-breaking attendance, TV viewership, moving to bigger arenas, all because of one person, Caitlin
Clark, baby.
That I think was close to 20 minutes, 18, 19 minutes. Cathy Engelbert never said the words Caitlin Clark, never uttered her.
18 to 19 minutes. That's how long Cathy Engelbert spoke during the WNBA playoffs about record attendance, TV viewership breaking every record, teams moving to bigger arenas, charter flights getting approved, new media deals signed. 18 to 19 minutes talking about the biggest growth year in league history. And according to Christine Brennan, who was there, Engelbert never said the name Caitlin Clark once. Not one time. Now you might think that's an exaggeration, some kind of miscount, but Brennan isn't the only person who noticed. John Wertheim from 60 Minutes asked Engelbert directly about Caitlin Clark in an interview, and her answer was, Caitlin and Angel. Wertheim had to stop her and say, no, I didn't ask about Angel, I asked about Caitlin. The commissioner of the league couldn't answer a direct question about the player responsible for the entire growth spike, without deflecting to someone else. And that moment tells you everything about why we're here right now, watching a league sabotage its own golden ticket.
Her name. So something's going on and leadership is needed. And when you have a void like this, the void is filled with anger and aggression, and you get things like that picture that's going to last forever of Alyssa Thomas's fist on the throat of Caitlin Clark, the woman who's responsible for the charter flights and more money, at least in some ways, with the collective bargaining agreement that Alyssa Thomas is getting. So that fist to the throat, and also kneeing her groin beforehand, and then the very weak penalty. That's the other thing. Slap on the wrist, $1,000 fine for a woman, Alyssa Thomas, making $1.2 million this year, obviously because of the increase in interest and the salaries, in part because of Caitlin, large part because of Caitlin Clark. And also just a one-game suspension when it should have been, I think, at least 10 games.
$1,000. That's what the WNBA fined Dejanay Carrington for putting her fist to Caitlin Clark's throat on national television. $1,000 and one game. Carrington made $1.2 million this year, partly because of the new CBA that got negotiated after Caitlin Clark's arrival drove revenue through the roof. So the league fined her less than 0.1% of her salary for an assault that would have gotten you arrested if it happened in a parking lot. Christine Brennan said it should have been at least 10 games, and she's right. But here's what should bother you more. Before that throat grab, Carrington kneed Clark in the groin. The cameras caught that too. So we're not talking about one moment of frustration. We're talking about a pattern of targeting, and the league's response was essentially a parking ticket. That's not an accident, that's a choice.
It's been on Caitlin Clark's side the entire time. Besides content creators in the big media, is USA Today reporter Christine Brennan. Christine Brennan wrote an exceptional, great book when Caitlin Clark first arrived in the WNBA, talked about the rise and how basically we got here. Now, I've been following Caitlin Clark and reporting on the young lady since she was in college back at Iowa. So if it's anybody that knows the journey she has took to get to where she's at, it's definitely me, man. I'd have been to Carver. Now I'd have been to Indy a few times. And one thing I can say, it's never a dull moment to see Caitlin Clark hitting logo threes or when her name get called. Number 22 out of Iowa, from Desmond, Iowa, Caitlin Clark, and the arena just erupts. It just sends chills up your spine. Highly recommend you guys to go check it out for yourself and see what the hell I'm talking about.
Christine Brennan wrote a book about Caitlin Clark's arrival in the WNBA and what it meant for women's basketball. She's covered this story from Iowa, watched her hit logo threes at Carver Hawkeye Arena, heard the roar when they announced number 22 from Des Moines, Iowa, Caitlin Clark. She knows what this looks like when it's done right, when a fan base actually embraces a generational talent instead of trying to tear her down. And what she's been watching since Clark got to the WNBA is the exact opposite: assaults on the court that go barely punished, a head coach in Christy Sides who benched Clark at crucial moments and ran plays that left her isolated, a league that dropped a 30th anniversary poster and left the biggest draw in WNBA history off of it entirely. They put Diana Taurasi on that poster, holding all her rings in a photo that mimicked the famous Michael Jordan shot. And that's fine, Taurasi's a legend. But leaving Clark off a poster celebrating the league's future when she is the reason the league has a future? That's not an oversight. That's a statement.
At least 10 games. Shout out to Christine Brennan on an exceptional response to that question. Now, we cannot forget the infamous 60-minute interview where Cathy Engelbert deliberately said drama is what pretty much fill up the seats in these stadiums for the WNBA. She damn near said we need more drama. We cannot forget that 60-minute interview, bro. Go check it out. I reported on it years ago on the channel. Now, something else that she said that stuck out: without Caitlin Clark, y'all don't get charter flights. Y'all don't get these big old media deals, right? Ain't it crazy? Y'all get the new media right deal right when Caitlin Clark get here. This is what we need to discuss. The disrespect with Caitlin Clark is at an all-time high. And I want to touch on this. We have to touch on this. Last year, when I was in CBA negotiation, there was many reports that I was receiving that part of the agreement for signing the new CBA was for them to get a new commissioner. That's what I was hearing verbatim, simply because of the Nafisa Collier exit interview. Now, fast forward. It took months upon...
Here's the part that should actually concern you if you're a WNBA fan. Last year, during CBA negotiations, multiple reports came out that one of the conditions some players wanted for signing the new collective bargaining agreement was getting a new commissioner. The source of that demand? An exit interview that Nafisa Collier gave that apparently didn't sit well with how the league was being run. The negotiations dragged on for months. Training camp started late. The draft got pushed back, and then Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, had to step in and hold a press conference, essentially announcing that Cathy Engelbert was staying. Whatever leverage the players thought they had to force a change disappeared, and the league got the same leadership that had been running it into the ground for years. Now, why would players want their own commissioner fired? Because they could see what was coming. They knew Caitlin Clark was about to walk into a situation where the leadership had no idea how to protect the league's most valuable asset, no idea how to market her correctly, and no willingness to stand up to the veterans who saw her as a threat instead of an opportunity. And everything that's happened since has proven them right.
Months for them to get the CBA done, hence why the season started. Well, I believe the season started on time, but we had late training camp and I believe a late draft. Adam Silver had to step in. Adam Silver gave a press conference, pretty much state to the world that they're keeping Cathy. Whatever the case is, Cathy Engelbert, from my knowledge, was not supposed to be returning as the commissioner. And just like Christine Brennan just said, she's incapable of running a women's basketball league, let alone any league for that matter. Cathy Engelbert is a businesswoman, CEO of Fortune 500 companies. What the hell she got doing running a basketball league? Now, a lot of the success, some of the success before Caitlin Clark was simply on Cathy. But we cannot take away the success that Caitlin has brought to this game. And for Alyssa Thomas to only be suspended for one game and $1,000 fine is simply rhetorical. And me personally, she should have been suspended, just like Christine Brennan said, for 10 plus games. Hands down. You cannot go out here and assault people on national television and expect to come back and act like nothing has happened, because that is simply what they're doing, acting like nothing has happened. But guys, I want to know y'all thoughts down in the comments section, and until next time, man, shake the damn haters.
Cathy Engelbert ran Deloitte. She was CEO of a consulting firm with 4,500 companies under her. That's an impressive resume if you're talking about corporate strategy or financial restructuring. But running a basketball league is not the same job as running a consulting firm. A basketball league is about understanding the product on the court, protecting your stars, reading the room when tensions are building, and making quick decisions when someone crosses a line. It's about feel and instincts, not quarterly earnings reports. And Engelbert has shown over and over again that she doesn't have those instincts. When 60 Minutes asks you about the player who just broke every viewership record in league history, and your instinct is to deflect and name-check someone else, that's not diplomacy, that's paralysis. When a player gets choked on camera, and your instinct is $1,000 fine, that's not measured leadership. That's fear of making anyone upset. And when you talk for 20 minutes about a historic season and can't bring yourself to say the name of the person who made it historic, that's not humility. That's denial. Christine Brennan called it paralysis, and that's the perfect word, because what we've watched all season is a commissioner who cannot bring herself to acknowledge reality. The reality is that without Caitlin Clark, none of the growth happens. No charter flights, no bigger arenas, no primetime ESPN games, no sold-out road games in cities that didn't care about the WNBA 6 months ago. And everyone knows it. The players know it, even if some of them resent it. The media knows it, the fans know it. The only person who seems unable to say it out loud is the one person whose job is to say it.
Today, I want to play y'all this, and then after we listen to this and watch this, I'm going to take y'all to Christine Brennan's X account. Now let's roll this and let's watch it and listen.
Remember what Engelbert said in that 60 Minutes interview? She said drama is what fills the seats. Not great basketball, not generational talent. Drama. That one quote should have told you everything you needed to know about how this season was going to go.
Now, ever since Caitlin Clark arrived to this league, there has been troubles and setbacks that really, to me, a lot of it has not been on her. There's been a lot of assaults taking place on the basketball court. It's been a whole lot of sabotaging, not only by her head coach, but definitely by the league itself. Hell, they dropped the WNBA 30-year poster and left the Michael Jordan of the league off the poster. Many people can say what they want. Maya Moore posted up a picture of her with all her rings on. No disrespect to her. She kind of emulated the Jordan photo, but it didn't hit the same to me. You know, I believe Maya Moore is Caitlin Clark's favorite basketball player, if I'm not mistaken, on the women's side, but when it comes to her herself, she's the closest thing since Jordan. If you want to talk about the injuries, you want to talk about the impact of the game, without Caitlin Clark, none of us will be watching the WNBA. It's just that simple. No disrespect to any other players that came before her, but as of right now, we cannot take away the greatness that she has brought to the game of women's basketball. But just like I stated, it came with some loopholes, and the loopholes are being exposed each and every day by me, many other content creators, but the biggest person that has been on the front line with exposing everything that has been taking place in the WNBA is none other than USA Today reporter Christine Brennan. Christine Brennan has been on record time and time again exposing everything, and that's exactly what she did in a recent interview that took place yesterday.
Let's talk about what Caitlin Clark actually did for this league, because the numbers are not up for debate. Before she arrived, the WNBA averaged about 5,000 fans per game. Games were played in half-empty arenas with maybe 1 or 2 national TV slots per week. Playoff games got bumped to streaming services because the networks didn't think they were worth primetime slots. The players flew commercial, middle seats, layovers in Dallas, the whole nightmare. Caitlin Clark's first game drew over 2 million viewers. Her road games started selling out arenas in cities like Washington and Dallas that had never sold out a regular season WNBA game in their history. The Indiana Fever went from playing in a 7,500-seat college gym to selling out 17,000-seat NBA arenas on the road. ESPN moved WNBA games to prime time and kept them there because the ratings were beating NHL playoff games and MLB regular season games. The league signed a new media deal worth $2.2 billion over 11 years, and every executive involved in those negotiations said the same thing off the record. Caitlin Clark is why we're writing this check. And the players got paid. The new CBA increased salaries across the board, with stars now making over $1 million a year. That's still not NBA money, but it's 3 times what they were making 2 years ago. Charter flights got approved for the playoffs and then extended to the whole season. Free agency got more competitive because teams actually had money to spend. All of that happened in 1 year. All of it traces back to one player. So when Dejanai Carrington puts her fist to Caitlin Clark's throat, she's not just assaulting a rookie, she's assaulting the person who's directly responsible for her getting a 7-figure salary and a charter flight home. And when the league fines her $1,000 for it, they're telling everyone watching that they value keeping veterans happy more than they value protecting the star who's paying everyone's bills. That's not a sustainable business model. That's a slow-motion collapse disguised as fairness.
Now, ever since Caitlin Clark arrived to this league, there has been troubles and setbacks that really, to me, a lot of it has not been on her. There's been a lot of assaults taking place on the basketball court. It's been a whole lot of sabotaging, not only by her head coach, but definitely by the league itself. Hell, they dropped the WNBA 30-year poster and left the Michael Jordan of the league off the poster. Many people can say what they want. Maya Moore posted up a picture of her with all her rings on. No disrespect to her. She kind of emulated the Jordan photo, but it didn't hit the same to me.
Here's the Michael Jordan comparison, and it's not an exaggeration. When Jordan entered the NBA in 1984, the league was on tape delay. Finals games were shown at 11:30 at night after the local news. Arenas were half empty. The NBA was considered a niche sport with an image problem. Magic and Bird had started the recovery, but it was Jordan who turned the league into a global empire. And the NBA knew it. David Stern knew it. They built the entire marketing strategy around him, protected him from bad officiating, made sure the refs weren't letting him get mauled every night, and turned him into the face of not just basketball but sports itself. Caitlin Clark is doing the same thing for the WNBA. She's bringing in fans who've never watched a women's basketball game in their lives. She's getting young girls to buy jerseys and beg their parents for tickets. She's making sports media actually cover the league year-round instead of just during the playoffs. And the WNBA's response has been to leave her off posters, refuse to say her name, and let veterans assault her on national TV with barely any consequences. Imagine if in 1985, the NBA let Bill Laimbeer choke Michael Jordan at center court and fined him $500. Imagine if David Stern gave interviews about the league's growth and refused to mention Jordan's name. That league would have died. But that's exactly what the WNBA is doing right now. And the only reason they're getting away with it is because the growth is so explosive that it's masking the incompetence. For now.
Says, no, I didn't ask you about Angel. I only asked you about Caitlin. And then in her, the WNBA playoffs they covered in the finals in 2024, went on about all the things that had happened that year: record-breaking attendance,
Right.
TV viewership, moving to bigger arenas, all because of one person,
Caitlin Clark, baby.
Throughout that I think it was close to 20 minutes, 18, 19 minutes. Cathy Engelbert never said the words Caitlin Clark, never uttered her.
That void Christine Brennan mentioned, the one that gets filled with anger and aggression when leadership disappears? We watched it play out all season. Chennedy Carter body-checking Clark away from the ball and getting cheered for it by her own teammates. Alyssa Thomas calling Clark a bitch in a post-game press conference and facing zero punishment. Angel Reese taunting Clark after every play and then playing the victim when fans called it out. Dejanay Carrington going for the throat on camera and getting a one-game suspension. Every single one of those moments was a test for Cathy Engelbert. Every single one was an opportunity to set a standard, draw a line, and make it clear that the league's biggest star was not going to be a punching bag for veterans who resented her success. And every single time, Engelbert failed the test. She hid behind vague statements about letting them play, and physicality is part of the game. She deflected to talking about multiple rookies when asked specifically about Clark. She let the inmates run the asylum, and the result was a season where the most marketable player in women's basketball spent half her time getting cheap-shotted and the other half listening to her own commissioner pretend she didn't exist.
Adam Silver had to step in. Adam Silver gave a press conference, pretty much state to the world that they're keeping Cathy. Whatever the case is, Cathy Engelbert, from my knowledge, was not supposed to be returning as the commissioner. And just like Christine Brennan just said, she's incapable of running a women's basketball league, let alone any league for that matter. Cathy Engelbert is a businesswoman, CEO of Fortune 500 companies. What the hell she got doing running a basketball league? Now, a lot of the success, some of the success before Caitlin Clark was simply on Cathy. But we cannot take away the success that Caitlin has brought to this game. And for Alyssa Thomas to only be suspended for one game and $1,000 fine is simply rhetorical. And me personally, she should have been suspended, just like Christine Brennan said, for 10 plus games. Hands down. You cannot go out here and assault people on national television and expect to come back and act like nothing has happened. Because that is simply what they're doing, acting like nothing has happened. But guys, I want to know y'all thoughts down in the comment section. And until next time, man, shake the damn haters.
So what happens next? Because this isn't sustainable. You can't build a league around a player and then let that player get disrespected by everyone from the veterans to the refs to the front office. Eventually, the fans notice. Eventually, the sponsors notice. And eventually, the player herself notices. Caitlin Clark hasn't said much publicly because she's smart enough to know that complaining makes it worse. But you don't think she sees what's happening? You don't think she knows the commissioner won't say her name? You don't think she noticed when Chennedy Carter blindsided her and the refs called it a common foul? She knows. And when her rookie contract is up, she's going to have options. Maybe she stays in the WNBA and forces a trade to a team that actually wants to build around her. Maybe she goes overseas where she'd get paid 3 times as much and treated like the star she is. Maybe she just walks away from basketball entirely and goes into broadcasting or business, because why would you keep playing in a league that treats you like a problem instead of a solution? The WNBA is betting that she'll stay because she loves the game too much to leave. And maybe they're right. But that's a hell of a gamble to make with the only player who's ever moved the needle for your league. Especially when all you'd have to do to keep her happy is the bare minimum. Say her name, protect her from cheap shots, and stop pretending that her success is somehow unfair to everyone else. Christine Brennan is right. Cathy Engelbert should be replaced. Not because she's a bad person or because she hasn't worked hard, but because the job requires instincts she doesn't have and decisions she's proven she won't make. The WNBA is at a crossroads. They can keep the same leadership and hope the Caitlin Clark wave carries them through despite the dysfunction. Or They can bring in someone who actually understands how to build a league around a generational star. Someone who won't be afraid to say her name. Someone who won't let veterans assault her on national TV and get away with a slap on the wrist. Someone who understands that fairness doesn't mean treating everyone the same when one player is doing 90% of the heavy lifting. The players reportedly wanted Engelbert gone during the CBA negotiations, and Adam Silver stepped in to save her. That might have been the worst decision he's made as NBA commissioner, because now the WNBA is stuck with a leader who can't lead during the most important moment in the league's history. And every day she stays in that job is another day the league risks losing the one player they can't afford to lose. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. If Caitlin Clark walked away tomorrow, would the WNBA survive? Would the charter flights stay? Would the TV deals hold? Would the attendance stay above 5,000 per game? Because I think we all know the answer. And if the answer is no, if the entire league's future is riding on one player, then maybe that player deserves a commissioner who's willing to act like it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Cathy Engelbert be fired? Or is this all overblown? And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button, because this story is far from over. We'll see you in the next one.